Hey, everyone. Let me just start this off by saying thank you so much for coming here and checking out this video or listening on this podcast. I just want to say appreciate it so much. So much today. We got Steve Hawk in the DHBE studios today, otherwise known as, my dining room. It's such an important episode for me and a milestone for me because last year at this time we did something together as well. I tried to live stream, and still being so fresh into the streaming scene, it didn't go the way I expected, and I don't think it represented Steve as well as it should have. So I kind of had this little mark on myself and a desire to make something better than last year. So as we allude later in this episode that we're gonna make this a yearly thing, I hope that you guys love it. I loved having Steve over. Unfortunately, I only had so much of his time. We met on a weekday. We will definitely have him back. We had such a great time. So if you're just joining us, this and content like this is all that you could expect from Don't Hold Back Entertainment. Thank you so much for viewing, rating, subscribing, doing all the right things. Appreciate you so much. Here is my interview with Steve Hawk. I should mention, this isn't your typical podcast interview. I gave Steve a half-eaten Easter egg cookie design set. Do it yourself, create your own cookie. And I thought he was gonna laugh me. I thought he was just gonna turn around and get in his car and go. But he got really excited, and let's watch him make an egg.
It might seem like an old story to some people, but thank you.
Safety.
Oh.
Safety.
I feel like I'm in Sunday school.
That's the point.
Do you feel like you're in Sunday school?
Because I feel it.
And so my brother went away to college, and this is already lousy. Yeah, I was an art major too.
Were you?
So, yeah, my brother went away to college, and it's safe to say, without trying to sound insulting, that he wasn't crazy about his life around here. He wasn't the most popular guy, and so he picked up the guitar, went away to Ohio for college, and loved it. Met new people, played guitar. He played in high school, but around that time, we're talking 1992. So what's going on at that time with music?
Fucking
alternative movement, the grunge, and in our area, Pittsburgh, in our area in Pittsburgh, we had the Revolution, which was, it predated the X.
Oh, okay.
The same station, but it was better than the X because the X is owned by, about 15 years ago, Clear Channel. Now I think it's iHeartRadio.
Really?
That's how these bands get on the radio. You have to submit to. It was Clear Channel at one time, and then in my band Forgotten Nobody, we did that. We were on Clear Channel's web page for a while to get our plays up, so that maybe we could get on national radio. You know what I mean? Instead of just like the local stuff.
I never knew that's how.
At least it was then. I mean, I don't know what it is now, but I believe iHeartRadio bought out Clear Channel.
That would make sense because they always have like iHeartRadio concerts and it's all iHeartRadio.
Yeah. So nonetheless, my brother came back, and I was into music, but my mom took me around to like church choirs and things like that. This is always a specific and crazy question. You get so much out of a person when you ask this question and their relationship to music. I just love this question. You're always going to get something good. Yes, my grandfather, when I was a real little kid, he we'd go on trips, or I'd just go with him to pick up milk or, cookies for the women that were like coloring Easter eggs and things like that. And I mean, I remember that in particular. We would sing, and he'd sing me like, I've been working on the railroad, just simple, the child songs. And whenever I was real little, they taught me "You Are My Sunshine," and whenever the fire whistles would go off, it would be horrifying to me, kind of like I was a dog. And I would go somewhere and sing that song. But my grandfather taught me how to sing harmonies because he was in church choir. He was in gospel quartet that he formed. Yeah, I still have his records, and I listen to them on a regular basis. And you said this has to be a badass Easter egg, right? I'm already failing this podcast. What's that? Okay. It's not. But, so, back to the original question. My brother was home from college, and I just was out of curiosity, how do you make a note on the guitar? He always told me, he always left it sitting around, but he always told me, don't touch it. And
I know that. I know that.
And what's the little brother supposed to do,
Fucking touch it.
Touched it, man. I touched it so hard. And, but, like, I'll never forget sitting there on the couch in my living room as a kid, and he had it leaned up against the couch, and I just reached over, and just in my own head, I was like, the science of it, I was a pretty smart kid growing up, I was like, well, at first I was like, well, you gotta push where these lines are, these metal lines are, I think that's what you gotta do. But then I was like, wait a second, if I pinch that, then I'm not gonna really get any sound out of it. So I pinched in between, I was like, oh my God, that's what you do. Obviously I was, pinching the fret.
Yeah.
And I got my first sound out of the guitar, and ever since then I was in love. My brother eventually realized, wait a second, I'm not gonna be able to get my little brother to not touch my guitar. So he taught me some songs, and one of the first songs that he ever taught me was that "Hey" by Four Non Blondes, and I said, "Hey, what's up? Yeah. And I say, hey. That was the first song I ever learned how to play guitar. So I played it all summer.
Yeah.
And I played it for all of my friends and all the neighborhood kids that heard it came up to play. And it was one of those deals where I would run out onto the front porch because I thought I was cool and I thought they were coming, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go and I'm going to impress my friends. And they didn't give a shit. They were 14-year-old kids.
Yeah.
They just wanted to run and play, and I was sitting here trying to learn how to play guitar because I thought I was cool. And I was. But that's the only song I knew how to play. And for the longest time, I just kind of put it down. I just kind of did my thing. And then when I was about 2 years later for Christmas, well, my oh my God, this sucks already. This is ridiculous, Sam. I can't.
I wanted to think of something that.
No, this is.
That I know you wouldn't have guessed.
I'm mixing up the
you're making a
colors.
Beautiful egg, my man. That is a beautiful egg.
I'm going above and beyond my original duties here. But I can't remember, like, 14-year-old to when I got my first guitar. I believe I was given my grandfather's guitar, which was, I don't even know if it was a brand name. But it was a really bad guitar by this point because, I mean, he was born in the 20s, so he probably barely played it.
Work on it.
Yeah. And I held on to that, but I kept trying to play, and I kept wanting to play. And so my mom finally got me my first acoustic. It was a Fender acoustic. And that's the one that, if you watch some of my old videos on the fan page, Rock Out With Your Hawk Out. I've actually been putting some of those out recently because they're becoming, it's just that time of the year where they're showing up on my page as memories.
Right.
Because when my band broke up back in 2008, I didn't realize the band broke up, and it was one of those things where it happened naturally, and so I didn't really see it coming.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we had a fight. It wasn't like, we hated each other. We just kind of went different ways and
went different directions.
Musically.
That's
And
usually how it goes. It's just things, you grow apart.
well, that's what breakups are. No matter if it's your
Yeah.
girlfriend, your friends, your band.
Everyone has different perspectives, different
Right.
directions, and
That
where they want to go.
was a major issue, honestly. But nonetheless, I got my first guitar. It was a Fender acoustic, and my mom gave me. She was a church organist at the time, and she knew this guy in Greensburg here, and his name was Frank Podolinsky. And at the time, I was probably 15, 16 years old, and he was probably 26. He was a church guy, but he was young and still really cool. Not to say that.
Yeah.
No, you know what I mean. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, it doesn't feel nerdy.
Yeah. He wasn't a rock and roll guy, but he knew his stuff, and he taught me a lot. He taught me scales and how to find scales on guitar, and most importantly, how to figure them out based off of the key and the patterns.
For those of you who haven't caught on by now, I am cooking.
You spent like 4 hours cooking up this big fancy meal.
You heard chopping in the beginning and then some slamming of drawers. I didn't think that would catch, but it totally caught, and you hear almost everything. So, I am cooking my famous turkey chili. You gotta love it. Anyway, here's another quick, more questions about the songs and how Steve writes.
Just for fun, I would sit down and I would find 4 or 5 chords that I didn't know how to play, and I'd fit them together the way I could, and that was actually the beginning of my true songwriting. I wrote my first song when I was 18, based off of a girl I liked. I was retarded. And
I was retarded.
I was. I mean, she was definitely not the right girl for me, but I was young and I didn't know any better, and I wrote this song thinking that, she'd dig it, and
Is it one you still play?
I can. It just doesn't fit the rest of my repertoire very well.
Or I just meant in general. Is it a song that you're still feeling
Not on stage.
attached to that you still
No,
play?
I honestly haven't played it in probably 10 years. I could pull it out again, and honestly, sometimes I do. I have a following now that would appreciate it more so than maybe like 5-6 years ago.
Right.
Because I play a lot of different styles of my own personal music on stage. I don't just play my punk songs. I'll pull out like a slow song from time to time, and even on my album, like songs like As I Get Older are songs that are typically not your punk,
Yeah.
or your rock and roll. They're just a slower version. Midnight Misery is that way too, just a slower song. But that's a favorite of mine, and that's a favorite of a lot of people. But getting back, it was called Almost Love.
Almost Love.
Yeah, and I must have named it that because I probably knew better. I probably knew, even though like I have these feelings, I'm still really young, and I don't know if this is going to work out or not, And so
Almost Love.
I took it to college. I went to Mount Union College, and I didn't know anybody. And my first day was just absolutely dreadful because I had a lot of friends around here, and I wasn't at the stage in my life where I really felt like making new friends.
Right.
But I was 3 hours from home, didn't know anybody, and so I just stuck to my guitar, and that's whenever the songwriting really took off. I just wrote song after song, and I have literal binders of music in my attic and in my room and just all over the place and a lot of these I don't use anymore, but I picked up some good songs, and when I did have the band, They taught me what songs people would really like, and I just kind of attached to a lot of those. And songs like Glutton for Punishment.
Oh yeah, I love that song.
That was written in a time where I was a huge Social Distortion fan. And also at a time where I, was just trying to figure out my love life. And, I was too young to figure those things out. Oh my God, this is awful. And, but I learned a lot about songwriting because I knew what I liked. I wasn't any part of a movement. I didn't even have a band yet. Occasionally people would come by and listen to music while I was playing. I hardly even had any friends or a social group.
I don't have any friends.
It was at that moment that Steve broke out into a horrible sob of tears, and he wished that I do not depict that moment in this podcast. So here I skipped that part of the podcast. Here we start talking about other things, about during and up to his time, point in time where he decided that he wanted to play guitar as a solo musician and or in a band. So check it out.
So this prank war was going on, and his roommate Dean, I have no respect for him. I'll be honest. I can honestly say that today. And I mean, he's not going to listen to this anyway. I doubt it. I hope so. I hope so. But he kind of started to, how you form cliques with people with personalities. And even though we were like 18, 19 years old, we were still in that stage where that was still happening.
Yeah. And that still happens with the grown-ass adults.
Yeah, it certainly does. And it's disgusting, but it is what it is. And, people get attached to who they like. There's nothing wrong with friendships and things like that. But anyway, these dudes were starting to form a really good bond. Ben and I were really close, but Dean just kind of was, influencing him and personality-wise. At least I saw it. Nonetheless, there was this prank that they pulled, which was really funny. Like I said, Ben was dating a girl named Sarah before we got to campus. And Dean called me up and he was like, "Hey dude, Ben's gone." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Ben got really drunk and wandered off somewhere and I don't know where he is." And I said, "You want me to go look for him?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm kind of drunk myself. I really don't know." So I went down to the girls' dorm where I knew Sarah was. I walked the whole way across campus. I think it was cold. I can't remember. And I went to Sarah's dorm and I called her. You had these call boxes. And it was late. But I called her. I was like, "Hey, is Ben up there?" And she's like, "Steve, I haven't talked to Ben in a couple days." I was like, "All right." So I walked back. That was my only lead. I probably walked all over campus because I didn't want Ben to get into any trouble.
Yeah.
And went up, and Dean was sitting in the chair where he was before. That he had this brown lazy boy, and he was just like, I said, "Hey, Ben's not. I don't know where Ben is." He's like, "Really?" And he got up out of his chair and he looked under his bed. He's like, "Is he in here?" And I was like, "What?" He looked behind the TV. He's like, "Is he back here?" I was like, "What?" And then finally opened the closet and Ben was there the whole time. And they sent me out on this whole goose chase and Ben was in the closet. Like, it was funny. And it was, oh shit. Oh, there goes my plan. So I decided I'm going to pull a prank back. Oh no. I'm going to pull a prank back. Oh, they're little stars.
What, the sprinkles?
The sprinkles are stars. That's fascinating.
This moment is brought to you by ADHD.
It's like little snowflakes.
That is quite the egg you got going on there.
And so I came up with this plan.
Okay.
Where...
Is this the point which it goes too far?
Yes.
Okay.
But It really wasn't. I just was driving them nuts because my prank was that good.
Yeah. Right.
What I would do is I would take something from their room when I went over to visit and BS with them. Like, for instance, Dean had an Obi-Wan Kenobi statuette on his TV, and I took the little green lightsaber and I put it into my top drawer.
Okay.
And then when I'd notice or when I'd hear them talking about it, like, I wonder where that lightsaber was, I'd wait till they were out of their room and I'd come back and put the lightsaber back and take something else.
Nice.
And I did this for weeks. I mean, as soon as they'd mention that, they'd make a mention of it being gone, I'd put it right back. So then they'd be like, what the hell? I just saw that it was missing. Did you put that back? What's going on? They started to like argue with each other. Dean had a shot glass collection from all over the place. And at this time, we were sophomores, and the college was starting to expand, and it was allowing people that were, how do I say this, unsavory. So anyway, I took this shot glass of Dean's, and it was some German shot glass that he had gotten, probably from Germany. I took the nicest one. And so I'm sitting there studying one night, and I just hear him losing his shit next door. He was a very angry person and a very angry drunk. And, yeah, I hear him throwing chairs, and yeah, it was pretty wild. So I walk in, I'm like, they always called upon me to diffuse situations because I always had a cool head. But I walked in, I was like, Dean, what's going on, man? And he's like, dude, someone took my shot glass. Has to be one of these stupid freshmen, explicit. And I realized that Dean was so drunk that he was probably going to go pound someone's door, and there was going to be this huge scene. And so I finally divulged it. I said, listen, I was the one that took Obi-Wan's lightsaber. I was the one that took one of Ben's flip-flops. I took this, I took that, and your shot glass. And Dean was like, seriously, you have it? I was like, I will bring it right back. This, I didn't mean for this to go this far. And he was cool. He was like, let's go get some beer. Now,
Hey everyone, if you want to hear this story, you gotta go to the DHBE Patreon website, check it out, become a basic tier member, show your support to the show, and see these deleted scenes and extra exclusive songs and interviews on DHBE Patreon.
I think I was a junior or senior in college when I wrote that.
What do you plan on playing tonight?
Well, you wanted to hear Heart Sick in the Basement.
Absolutely.
You wanted to hear Loner. And I thought about playing my newest one that I wrote called I Never.
Never.
One of the major things that happened in my life that influenced me jump starting my music career again 12 years ago now was my childhood friend Eli passed away from cancer. And I was there for pretty much the whole thing. Now, if you go to my shows, you'll see his widow, Dawn, and she's now dating my friend Andy. So it's kind of like they come out to shows together, but like Andy knew Eli, and it was just one of those things that naturally happened, and I accepted it because they're awesome people. They deserve each other. I lived with it myself, and I ended up writing a song which is now featured on WRGG down in Greencastle, Pennsylvania, 93.7 FM.
Woo!
Yeah. There's a cat staring. Hey, I just see a cat head. I think he's like, meow.
What are you doing?
But, and he's now eating something on your table. I hope you know this. Okay.
That's what cats do.
All right. But nonetheless, I went down this past June and played it live on their radio station.
That's cool. Yeah, you've definitely been busy.
Yeah.
No doubt about that. I'm happy to see you get such excellent participation from the people in your Facebook group. Yeah. They're very responsive and very loyal to you, so that's so cool.
Yeah.
And I
just love music, and they love the fact that there's someone out there that they know doing it. And And I try to immerse them in a lot of my merch decisions. Whenever I'm about to come up with a new plan, I throw it out there and say, what do you guys want? I try to give options. Like, for instance, I was throwing out a black and gold idea for my logo t-shirts. And
Now, do you have a Shopify, or is it all?
I don't do Shopify. I go through Jake Hirsch, actually, from Fubar.
Oh, okay.
He's been my merch guy for a very long time, for 2-3 years now. And him being sick has kind of put a little damper on that, but you know.
I was going to say, is that the same Hirsch?
Yeah, that's Jake who's been fighting his own bout with cancer. So every once in a while, whenever that came out and I found out he was going to have to go through chemo and things, I would text him every day for a while. I was just like, hey, dude, you all right?
Yeah.
Still checking on you. It might be annoying, but here I am. I just want you to know I'm thinking of you. And today's his birthday, actually.
Happy birthday, Jake Hirsch.
Yep, that's right. I don't know how old you are, but you can get back to me whenever this airs. Nonetheless, Eli died, and I wrote this song, The Curse of the Man Who Knows, and I played it out, but it was a very tragic and sad song. It was all about everything that happened in 2009, 2010, breakup that I had, and a person not caring anymore, and Eli going through this. Well,
Hey everyone, I just want to take this moment to tell you the ways to show your support for Steve Hawk. First, you gotta go and follow him on Spotify. Easiest way to show him support. He's able to gain some revenue from your plays. Show him easy free support on your way to work, on your way home from work, when you're cutting the grass, whatever it may be. You can join the Rock Out with Your Hawk Out Facebook group. That's Rock Out, like Rock Out with Your Hawk Out Facebook group. And most importantly, like and sharing this video.
I'd like to share the idea with you. Got a minute?
Or like and sharing this podcast. Those are the best ways to help expand and get Steve Hawk noticed. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching. I appreciate you so much.
when the pandemic hit and I was sitting here, a lot of artists were writing pandemic songs, COVID-related songs, things like that.
Yes.
Well, I had time to think. I was doing a weekly live stream Sunday nights, and but I had a lot of time to think like everybody else did. I decided to take a new spin on all of that guilt and those ill feelings and flip the script and write an uplifting song about
and
all
I
of
think
this
that's
stuff.
what definitely people need that.
So I called it I Never, because it was one of those ideas where I was in this place but I realized that I'm still alive and I never want to go back to that place again.
Yeah. So what? That's got your backstory covered, and I'm sure shame on me for not watching any of those movies or interviews where you do.
You're not the only one.
First, yeah. You know how many? If I had $1 for every time I heard someone say, "Oh, I haven't watched anything on your podcast, but I mean to," I would be a rich man.
Yeah, right.
So I just want to commend you for how much traction you've gotten over the past couple of years.
It's because I don't quit.
Yeah.
Yours is just your project is just kind of getting off the ground.
Yeah,
It's
been a year. We did our failed live stream this April or March 12th of last year. So it has been a full year. Yeah. And I definitely want to try to redeem myself with this.
We'll get it together. And I mean, like I said, it takes time to get traction in this business. And absolutely. I mean, you and I have played a couple shows together, and I don't even think you're playing in a band anymore.
No, unfortunately not. I'm trying to hint to him. Hint.
To me?
No. You're looking at me too.
What me? Here's my Easter egg.
Yeah, let's see it. Oh, it's beautiful, Steve.
Oh, yes. We just needed to dust it off.
Yeah.
Just dust it off.
Perfect. All right, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm ready for music. Are you ready to play?
I'm ready to play some
Let's hit it. Let's get down to the studio, make the magic happen. We're all tired of hearing you talk. We want to hear your pretty voice.
Oh.